Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out AmItheA whole. Story 1. AITA for getting angry at a friend for not letting me sleep in tighty-whities. Two friends and I are on vacation, so we rented a hotel room with 3 beds. Everything was great until bedtime. We all knew that my friend and I sleep in underwear, so we didn't bother bringing pajamas. The friend who also sleeps in underwear settled for typical boxers, and there was no issue. However, my other friend laughed because his boxer had a heart pattern. After showering, I dressed only in my underwear. When I went to the room, I noticed my friend looking a bit uncomfortable. This friend asked me to put on pants. He pointed out that I was wearing tight briefs, that everything down there was all tight and snug, and he found it uncomfortable. I mentioned that my briefs were a bit shorter than the boxers my other friend was wearing and that it wasn't much different from when I wear a Speedo. He reiterated that it made him uncomfortable, so I asked him to lend me one of his pajamas. When he refused, I asked my other friend for a pair of shorts, and he agreed, but I slept extremely uncomfortably. I'm not used to sleeping in shorts. The next morning, we went to the beach, and I wore a Speedo, which is even more revealing than my tight whites, which didn't bother him at all, and that angered me. I told them I'm going to rent a room for myself, and that upset my friends because it would increase the room cost. I don't want my friend to feel uncomfortable, but I also don't want to sleep uncomfortably because of him. AITA. Info: my friend who was sleeping in boxers wasn't bothered at all. Info 2: I apologize, English is not my first language. Story 2. Wibta if I got upset over my friend telling me to find another place to stay. Hi everyone, I'm in a strange situation right now and would love some input. I arrived in a city a week ago and have been staying with a friend. Originally I was supposed to stay at a hotel, but my friend told me to cancel my reservations and just stay with them until my own apartment I've rented becomes available toward the middle of this month. I agreed and we decided I should pay for food while I'm staying with them. So, it's been about a week of this arrangement and I have been paying for food and bought some things for the apartment and been doing cleaning and maintaining the space. However, around 7 p.m. today my friend texted me to ask if I can stay someplace else until next Tuesday at least because they have to leave the country for a few days and apparently their building manager doesn't allow anyone other than whoever pays rent to stay in the apartments. This caught me off guard since they're telling me that tonight and are leaving tomorrow at 6 a.m. What's more, I sustained an injury the other day that limits my movement and there's basically nothing available to rent so I can't stay somewhere, and I'm a bit annoyed. My friend mentioned they'll be traveling this weekend a few days ago but never said anything about me having to leave too. If they had told me earlier it would have been fine, but I literally have less than 12 hours notice to pack up and find somewhere to stay in the middle of winter, with an injury. They texted me that they hope I won't take this personally and that I am logical enough to understand that they're just trying to keep their apartment and not get kicked out, but I am still a bit shocked and honestly scared about where I'm gonna go. Am I wrong in feeling like this? Obviously there's nothing I can do, I'm just trying to figure out if I'm being entitled and illogical. Thanks. EDA, my friend has known nobody else can stay in the place other than them since they signed the lease. That happened almost a year ago, so this is not new information. Story 3. AITA for kicking the majority of my husband's family out of our wedding when they celebrated their traditions but violated many of my personal rules and boundaries. Me, 27F, and my husband, 30M, just got married this January, but the wedding was an absolute mess. For context, my husband Ben has a very close-knit family that doesn't take well to outsiders, surprises, or change. Most family reunions and gatherings don't allow +1s or spouses, just immediate family. Ben has 2 brothers and 1 sister. Each of my in-laws have wives/husbands, yet they still aren't allowed to come to the majority of family events, so it's fortunately not just me. Even though I cannot attend most events with his family, I still have a somewhat decent relationship with them. Before the wedding I've never had a major issue with them, but they've always been distant from me and I don't really mind. Now, let's talk about the wedding. The wedding was planned for New Year's Day, since that was the day we met, the day Ben asked me to be his girlfriend, and the day he proposed, so that holiday has always been very special to us. Everyone agreed that New Year's Day was a perfect day for the wedding, so no issues there. Unfortunately, we did have a problem with other things. Ben's family has lots of odd traditions that they do, and over the years I've put up with them and embraced them. They include having a homemade sheet cake rather than a professional wedding cake, wearing all white, and having all of the children walk up the aisle to toss flowers rather than having one designated flower girl/boy. However, I wanted my wedding day to be good for the both of us, so we made some compromises. We could have the homemade sheet cake, but we both had to agree on the flavor and design. Anyone could wear what they wanted, besides white, and there would be no children at the wedding. My husband suggested that, not me. We talked to both of our families, and everyone agreed that these rules and boundaries were fine, or so we thought. The day of the wedding came, and my side of the family was dressed appropriately, no children were present, everything was going great. Then, Ben's family came. There were lots of children and babies and everyone was wearing all white. Apparently their traditions were more important than what I had to say. Only 3 people actually respected the rules set in place. The spouses of Ben's siblings. Ben and I were mortified. We immediately kicked them out and allowed the 3 people who followed the rules to stay, but they left with their partners, which we didn't mind. The wedding went on as normal, but it felt ruined. We ended up canceling the post-wedding celebration after some of his family members snuck inside. After we came back from our honeymoon, we were both berated by his family members and basically shunned from his family. I feel guilty for not allowing them to practice their traditions. AITA? Story 4. AITA for not listening to my 10-year-old's objections to my Halloween costume. When the kids were smaller we would often coordinate our Halloween costumes by being Marvel characters, cardboard robots, etc. As the kids have gotten older they want to do their own things and not do family stuff, which is totally fine. In our town we all trick or treat in one area and it's a rural place so we drive together. Last year our kids went and hung out with their friends trick or treating, and then we just tracked them down at the end of the night. My wife and I were thinking of dressing up like fruit, grapes, banana, etc., then we thought of me as an eggplant and my wife as a peach. You know, the whole genitalia-esque emojis. My youngest, 11, got super pissed and said we absolutely cannot wear that costume and she doesn't want us wearing our other costumes either, pirates, crayons, etc. Ideally, to her, we simply would not dress up at all. Primarily it's because of how she thinks her friends will react since again it's a small town and everyone's walking around the same few streets. I thought about it and told her that some things truly are socially unacceptable, like me wearing Speedos and a rubber glove on my head to do my grocery shopping. The eggplant/peach costumes don't cross that line to me and I really don't want to live my life based on what her classmates may think of me. I know what's too much/too unacceptable is extremely subjective, but my wife and I feel that while the social pressure of our kids is something to talk about and work with her on, largely we're going to make our own decisions as adults. Story 5. AITA for missing our anniversary for a confirmation. I, 30F, and my husband, 33M, had our 3rd anniversary recently. It was on a Wednesday night and we both work 8 to 5 jobs so we worked the next day. We did not plan on doing anything that night since we have little kids and work the next day, but we still would have done something romantic and cute. A few months before our anniversary a boy I have known since he was 13 now, asked me to be his confirmation sponsor. I said yes without hesitation. A couple weeks later we learned that the confirmation would be on our anniversary. My husband was not happy. He thought I should skip the confirmation, but I told him I felt like I couldn't and we could do something when I got home. The night of the confirmation took way longer than I expected. It was a class of like 130 kids so I told my husband I thought I would be done around 7:30ish and didn't get done till 9. I could not text him in church, but as soon as it was over I texted him and said it took forever but I would be home soon. I said my goodbyes, took a few pics, then called my husband on my way home. I asked him if he wanted me to grab food and he said if I wanted food to grab something for him too. I could tell he was down so I just went straight home and didn't worry about food. My husband is upset and said I should have skipped the confirmation since it was on our anniversary. He feels like I prioritized other people over him, but I feel like we can celebrate our anniversary another day. How I can miss a confirmation when it is a one-time thing. AITA, my husband thinks I should have skipped a confirmation because it fell on our anniversary and meant I got home late so we didn't get to celebrate. Story 6. AITA for telling my brother's wife she has no business interfering in things that have nothing to do with her. My brother is a deadbeat dad to 2 of his kids, his oldest 2 sons. He abandoned his ex and went out of his way to make sure she didn't get child support out of him. By the time his oldest would be old enough to start figuring shit out, she moved so they could have a fresh start and not have to worry about possibly finding out how much he didn't want to be their dad. She also cut me out of their lives, which I got. The younger brother of the guy who was giving her and her kids the middle finger after creating both those kids is probably not someone you fully trust. The boys and I have contact now that they are both adults. My brother is not aware of this. We are mostly estranged and I don't think very highly of him. I'm a single dad and would never abandon my kids. My brother got married 5 years after he abandoned his sons. His wife wanted to meet me when they got engaged and made a very big deal out of us not being close and me saying no to meeting her several times. She pushed me on the reason why and I said I didn't respect deadbeat parents. She said he wasn't a deadbeat and his ex kept him away from the kids. I told her that was a lie and he had gone out of his way to sever his obligations to those boys. She didn't believe me. I told her I was present during fights between him and his ex. That I had heard him say he didn't give a shit about those boys. She dismissed what I said. They got married and now they have some kids together. I don't even know how many for sure. A few weeks ago she reached out to me and said my brother had admitted to abandoning his older sons and made sure she never got a cent from him. She was saying how wrong that was, but now that she knows, she feels like the kids should all meet and she's going to find the boys and tell them they need to meet their siblings. I was like, are you serious, and told her she should not track down the kids he abandoned to tell them they need to meet the kids he didn't abandon. She defended what she wanted and said her kids deserve to know them and 2 grown men should want to know their family. I told her she had no business interfering in this when it has nothing to do with her. I reminded her that yes, her kids are related biologically, but leave it for them to decide in the future. Do not try rubbing this in their faces. What she doesn't know is my nephews already know my brother had more kids. They don't care. They have said they will never want a relationship with them. She said it has everything to do with her and I'm being an ass. AITA? That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.